All right, everybody. The day's mental health topic. You weren't a burden. You were a child. I'm going to let that sink in for a second. You weren't a burden. You were a child. The day's segment is about unlearning the guilt of needing love, attention, or even care in your early years. And reclaiming the truth that you were just never too much. You were never too much. You were just small. You were just human. You were just in need. Tonight's conversation might hit close to home for some of you. I want to talk about some lingering guilt that you were too much, too loud, too emotional, too needy, too difficult. A lot of us grew up learning to shrink ourselves. We thought that if we needed less, we'd finally be loved right. We thought that if we stopped crying, they'd stop yelling. If we stopped asking for help, we wouldn't be a disappointment. But let me say this clearly, in case no one else ever told you. You aren't a burden. You weren't a burden. You were a child. You're just a kid. Some of us were made to feel like our emotions were a problem, like our needs, like our needs were an inconvenience. That is the guilt we inherited. But we weren't asking for too much. We were asking people who couldn't give it. But kids don't know that. Kids just think, I must be the problem. And that idea, it sticks. It's hard to shake. It burns in you like a fire that just won't go out. That's how we end up as adults who apologize for crying, who feel guilty for asking for help, who think love is something we have to earn. But none of that guilt belongs to you. That was someone else's inability passed down to you like it was your fault. That all of those moments where you felt you had to be easy or stay small, all of those moments that you still hesitate before asking for help, even from people you trust. That was someone else's failure. You weren't a burden. You're just a kid. Unlearning this stuff doesn't happen overnight because the guilt wasn't logical, it was emotional. It got wired in. So every time you reach out now, every time you let someone support you, it still feels wrong, even when it's the right thing to do. You might feel selfish, dramatic, embarrassing. But those feelings don't mean you're wrong. They just mean that you're healing. Let me ask you something. All of you, anybody in chat lurking, hanging out otherwise. If a 5-year-old came up to you in tears and asked for a hug, would you say that they were too much? No, right? That's wild. Then why do you still say that to the 5-year-old living inside of you? Why are you still punishing the child that needed help and never got it? I heard somewhere that we grow up to be the person that we wish we had in our lives as children. I hope there's some truth to that. I really, I really hope that there's some truth to that. You know, this entire segment really, it used to be called introspection section. I've been doing this type of stuff for a long time. Years. And I'm still finding out things about myself. I am still learning new things about myself, about being hurt and damaged and healing. Honestly, life just hurts sometimes. And you don't always know the right thing to do. You don't always know the right information. You don't always have somebody talking to you. What would you say to that younger version of you today? You have to heal. Because how could I look the younger version of myself in the face and say that I gave up? You might feel selfish, dramatic, embarrassed, but it doesn't mean you're wrong for reaching out for help. It just means that you're still healing. And this is out of your comfort zone. But you just need to push a little further. You've got this. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to need to be heard. Even now. Especially now. Especially now. Your worth isn't based on how little you ask for. You don't have to be low maintenance to be loved. Healing is about reclaiming the truth. You were always, always lovable. Even when you were messy. Even when you were scared. Especially when you're scared. We're all scared. This is the first time any of us are going around this fucking planet, and it sucks. Sometimes, man. But your worth doesn't depend on how little of a problem You are to people because you deserve love even without that. You don't have to be low maintenance to be loved. I'll leave you with this message, Colony. If you were made to feel like a burden for having needs, I'm sorry. You don't deserve that. You were never broken. You were never too much. You were just a kid trying to be okay. And now, you're an adult still carrying the echo of that silence. But you don't have to keep carrying it. You weren't a burden. You were a child. And you still deserve softness. You still deserve support. You still deserve to be held. Remember, Colony, it's about progress, not perfection.